You're welcome back. This is Newsfile. It's your most authoritative news analysis show. My guests are here. I'll introduce them shortly. And they include the Deputy Attorney General of the Republic. And I'd like now to welcome my guests into the studio. And in the studio, Abdul Malik Kweku Bako. He is Editor-in-Chief of the New Crusading Guide newspaper. He's a regular panelist here on the show. Felix Kwache Ufosu. He is Deputy Minister of Communications. Nana Akomia is the Communications Director of the New Patriotic Party. And Dominic Ayine is MP and he is the Deputy Attorney General. Gentlemen, good morning and welcome to Newsfile.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great. Good to have you. Now, first to look at and very briefly, which is our preliminary issue, has to do with the inauguration of the Circle Interchange. And even after that, the president also went to Bukum to inaugurate another beautiful edifice. And there's been a lot of talk, particularly about the interchange. So what's the big deal? There are people who are saying the president is being praised as though he has done something for the country when really it's our taxpayers' money that's been used to do the project anyway. So what's the big deal about it? I'll start with Felix briefly. What do you have to say briefly about the interchange?
Well, there's no dispute that it is a major piece of infrastructure that would significantly address one of the most frustrating bottlenecks in the transportation system of the city of Accra. And anybody who has used that intersection before, prior to its reconstruction, will be in no doubt that this is a major improvement. You know, so those who seek to downplay it essentially are wasting their time. It is so obvious and glaring that if you attempt to downplay it, you would only be exposing what is clearly a partisan motive.
The day after it was inaugurated, it was in one of the NDC's adverts for GM 2016.
Yeah, but we as a ruling party reserve the right to cite our performance as basis to be re-elected. There's nothing wrong with it. The opposition party, the MPP, which is in opposition now, cites what they did when they were in power as basis upon which they should be voted for. So I don't see why that is an issue.
Okay.
But it forms part of a move by government to basically decongest our transportation routes. There's no doubt that Accra continues to grow. More and more people continue to buy vehicles. And therefore, if no effort is put in place to widen our roads and make them more accessible, we are going to have a gridlock, which has serious implications for productivity. So you notice that apart from the Circle Interchange, work has either been completed or is ongoing on a number of routes as well. Before the Circle Interchange, the president commissioned the Burma Camp Phase 2, which is what we call the Flower Pot Junction flyover, which has also eased traffic for those going to the Spintex Road. There's also work that has gone on between the 37 Military Hospital roundabout and the Lati Junction. It is referred to as the Gifford Road. There's a flyover at where this popular restaurant used to be, the name that Home Touch, I think. So that has also eased traffic for those who are using that corridor. Those who live on the Awoshi-Pokwasi Road will tell you that now it is easier to get from Awoshi to Pokwasi than it was. It used to be a very dusty, bumpy road, which was creating difficulties. Now, the president indicated in his speech that the completion of these roads has made it necessary for more investment to go into decongesting other parts of the city. Otherwise, the problem would only have been resolved at one point, only for it to go and build up at another point. So immediately, there are plans to work on an Obechebi-Lamte interchange. And indeed, Parliament approved money for it about 2-3 weeks ago. There's also another project that is currently ongoing that is going to ensure the construction of an interchange at the Flower Pot roundabout and another interchange across the motorway into East Legon and Adrigano and adjoining areas. And this is a good thing. I don't know why
he said it's the longest and the highest flyover in West Africa. He's being challenged that he may not have had his facts correct.
Well, the honors lies on those who are disputing it to present fact. But for me, it's a minor point. I don't think that it's necessary to split hairs over that particular matter. It is a good project for Ghana. And sometimes we should simply be gracious and magnanimous and accept it when the right thing is done.
Okay.
The fact that you are opposed to a party doesn't mean you should. But again, let me also quickly address an issue that has spawned out of this one briefly. There has been the suggestion that all that we've done as a government is invest in infrastructure. Some have even gone to the extent of claiming that any idiots can construct infrastructure. If it were the case, we won't have the large infrastructure deficit that we have. It is not just a matter of going to get a loan to come and do a project.
This president has said infrastructure development is the ordinary business of any government.
Absolutely, but
and it's an exercise in mediocrity
no,
to suggest to say
are you aware
of
anything? Are you aware of anything that government does that is not its duty? For instance, if government fixes the economy or creates jobs or implements social welfare programs, is it not the duty of government? So infrastructure is one of the duties of government. Okay. If you fulfill it, it is worth taking credit for. But the point I was making is that we have not just fixed infrastructure. Right. We have also resolved critical problems. We have dealt with education, we've dealt with healthcare, we've dealt with water provision. We are fixing the economy. Okay. And we are also creating jobs.
Thank you. So that it's preliminary comment on the interchange, so let's not go beyond that. Now, Nana Kwame, I don't know if you have used it. I never really like to drive through Circle, but I can confess that since it was done, I tried the next day to use the place to see how it is. I enjoyed the ride. Then I was tempted to use it the next day. And simply, I'm diverting my route, my normal route to court from Dansoman.
Yes, thank you. Let me wish our audience a good morning. Yes, Samson, certainly it is a good part of the road infrastructure. Circle has always been a traffic bottleneck. And so if the interchange has come, and it's early days yet, we must be careful that it's early days yet. But if it eases traffic the way we expect, it will be a good addition to road infrastructure. There have been several traffic bottlenecks in Accra. Before the N1 was done, we remember, it was a long car park between Tetekwashi runabout to Odoko. But when the N1 was done and redesigned into 4 lanes and 3 lanes and so on, with interchanges here and there, it's eased traffic on that very notorious corridor, especially the Abeka, La Paz area and so on. Going to Abri, going to Kumasi, from Achimota to Fankor, major traffic bottlenecks. Getting through Sawam to Kumasi, you spend 40 minutes at Sawam. There's a bypass that allows the traffic to flow. Going through Nkoko would add another 40 minutes to your journey. There's a bypass. So improvements are being made. And so if something has been done at Circle in Accra that is going to ease traffic, it is a good thing. The problem that comes all the time with the NDC is the propaganda and the exaggeration. As if what has been done has not been done before. And that is what creates all these issues around whatever projects that they do. Even with this interchange, and you have mentioned it, what was the point in coming to tell us that this is the longest in terms of height, and this is the longest and this is the what? The highest and so on. What is the point of that? From the president himself. You know, and then somebody will then come and challenge you. And then if you're not careful, it becomes a partisan debate. And then they said it is Dubai. And they actually run adverts and say they've brought Dubai to I mean,
sort of a mini Dubai.
There's a mini Dubai. Yes. There's either a Dubai or no Dubai. You know, so you say it's Dubai. Well, what is the point? When they were doing interchanges in Dubai, they didn't say this is New York. It was going to suit that person. So when you say Dubai, then somebody is going to look at the people who are squatting under the bridge, relieving themselves into the door. And then you say, hey, somebody doesn't like you. It's not because somebody doesn't like you. Okay. It is the exaggeration that and then my last point. As for traffic, I mean, my brother Felix talked about the connection to the flower pots. Rush hour, traffic is huge. Over there, huge. You see, but it is good. If it's not rush hour, maybe on a Sunday drive, maybe in the afternoon. But rush hour, there's huge traffic and so on. So if you're not careful, you would exaggerate. And then the exaggeration brings out these issues and it becomes a partisan debate. My last point is this business about the projects that you had mentioned. Yes, development projects are good. A school there is good. A hospital there is good. A road connection there is good. But President Mahama himself told us when the NPP government was also touting infrastructure, that touting of infrastructure by a government was an exercise in mediocrity, and that the government had borrowed $4.7 billion. And if you've done some infrastructure, I mean, you've borrowed so much money. And that the real issues that concerned people was the economy. That's what he told us on August 7 at the National Theatre in Accra. So if 8 years down the line, you are now telling us that infrastructure is one-touch victory, when you told us in 2008 that it was mediocrity and that the real issues are the economy, then people would begin to take you on. So these are the issues. Okay. The NDC should step down, led by Felix.
It was supposed to be your last point. Thank you.
Thank you. We actually going to heighten
Thank you.
Public awareness on infrastructure programs.
Okay, so let's hear what Kwaku has to say.
Well, not much. If you took a look at the parliamentary Hansard of August 16, 2012, when the Finance Committee presented its report on this particular project, I think the motion for the approval of the resolution was moved by the chairman of the Finance Committee. Is it Afedi? Yes. And it was seconded by Mr. Samuel Obodai of the NPP. You read the Hansard. There was a bipartisanship spirit, the spirit of bipartisanship behind it. Some consensus, everybody agreeing that it was a good project. It's all here. I have the Hansard here. Bottom line, it's been done 4 years. And the reasons that were given in Hansard as to why that project was necessary and desirable are there and are clear. And I fully endorse them, then and now. So I think that is good for the nation. We shouldn't be unduly worried about all those propaganda and the political things. The basic thing is that there's an infrastructure out there.
The emphasis is that there ought to be a certain special credit to the government, particularly for that project.
Unavoidable. But an exaggeration of it is your own problem. I'm not unduly worried about those things. I'll be honest with you.
Okay.
I'd rather look at infrastructure and the impact it will make in terms of traffic, congestion, the economy, and so many other things.
Well, is it 200,000 vehicles are supposed to access it every day?
You
used
read,
to have about 80,000
value
vehicles.
for money audit was done.
Right.
That's true. People have argued about the sole sourcing nature, but if you know that nature, and I've heard some people trying to debate that, it's like the Exim Bank type of facility, and the contractor necessarily comes from the country, the origin, of origin in terms of the export and things.
Okay.
They can go out to look for the money. They do go out to look for the funding. As for the funding, they can get it from anywhere else, but 80 or so percent, I think it's 85% of the goods and services come from the originating the country of the contractor. 15% then is
sourced locally.
Yes, sourced locally. It's a good project. I'm for it.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, but I don't know how you were able to come with that estimate that the lack of traffic flow in that area previously, was estimated at 100. How much was that? $100 million per annum.
But I think the first person to broach the subject, if my memory serves me right, is the president of the Institute of either Engineers or Architects, who, when the project started, visited the sites and made some commentary on that. But is it the right knowledge? If people are using a certain intersection on their way to perform economic activity or any other activity for that matter, and they spend considerable amounts of time in traffic, it limits the amount of economic activity that they can engage in. So
for example, yes, all right. Intervention. In terms of the parliamentary thing, they talked about the negative impacts of traffic congestion. Then they give you the economy and business, loss of valuable and productive, that's potential work hours during peak hours. Loss of money due to delays, lost opportunities, increased running cost, an increase in accident rate and pollution, loss of business revenue associated with mixed schedules, inability to forecast travel time accurately, resulting in spending in less time on productive activities, increased cost of spoilage for time-sensitive perishable deliveries, longer travel times and delivery times for business, etc., etc. Many orders were given, and orders, nobody in the House opposed it.
Okay.
So it's clear.
Thank you. Thank you. Now, Doc.
Yes. The small one that
Yes.
I like, you see, all the items that Kweku has itemized would apply to any road project that will reduce traffic.
Of course.
Okay.
Essentially.
Yes. So when
go
the
to
propaganda
your
comes
substantive comments,
Essentially,
there are
yes.
those who are concerned that the reference by the president to mini Dubai is catching on, and we may lose the relevance of Nkrumah in the middle of it. Nkrumah is central to this place. Are you concerned about that as well? Because people are now saying Dubai.
I don't think so. I believe. I mean, that was just part of what Koku will call the propaganda aspect, of the commissioning. But the president also made sure that he mentioned the central role that Nkrumah played in our independence and in our politics, and the fact that this was dedicated to enhancing that role, so that Ghanaians accept the fact that he was key to the independence of Ghana, and that he still plays a central role in our politics.
Right.
But I also wanted to underscore one thing. Nana Komia and then my friend Koku Bako both accept the fact that the president made a good judgment call when it comes to this project, and I think that is good. Koku has mentioned the fact that in Parliament, and I was there during the debate, there was bipartisan acceptance of the relevance and importance of the project, and I think that is how we should look at it going forward. It is a national project. Of course, as a government, we implemented the project, and we need to take credit for it. Those who say that it is taxpayers' money have lost, they have lost the debate even from the beginning, because no government is a charity. No government uses private sector money in order to provide public infrastructure. Public goods are provided from taxpayers' money. And if you say that the president has used taxpayers' money to do it, did they expect the president to use his own money to do it in order to take credit? So this is all that I can say, for now. But, and then also to underscore the point that Koku made about the sole sourcing. Okay, because if you go for export credit, there are strings attached. The Exim Bank of Brazil that gave us the money certainly would have to rely on contractors from Brazil. And this contractor was positioned in order to access funds for us in executing the project.
Okay.
So it's important that we know that the sole sourcing wasn't just an arbitrary, unreasonable decision that the government took, but it was based upon the conditions of the contract.
Thank you. Thank you.
If you notice the role of Exim Bank, it is export, import. They exist to basically boost trade.
Thank you. Let's move on. Let's move on from here.
All right.
And so that'll be all about it for the interchange. For those of you who are watching on TV, you can see it if you have not had the benefit of seeing it yet, and particularly those of you who are not in Accra. Thank you.